Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling unsettled? Like something wasn't quite right, but you couldn't explain why? Especially in relationships later in life, we often assume we've seen it all. But sometimes, the most damaging red flags aren't loud or obvious. They're quietly tucked inside phrases that sound innocent on the surface, but signal deeper emotional manipulation, disrespect, or control. If you're a man over 60 or know someone who is, this video is essential. Because today, we're uncovering 5 hidden psychological red flag phrases women use that could slowly chip away at your confidence, independence, and emotional well-being if you don't recognize them early. These aren't just communication issues. They're signs of crossed boundaries, dangerous power dynamics, and emotional harm that can be incredibly difficult to reverse if ignored. This guide is rooted in timeless psychological principles, inspired by the work of Carl Jung, and tailored for seniors seeking clarity and peace in their relationships, not chaos and confusion. So please watch this video all the way through. The final phrase we'll discuss has been the turning point for countless older adults who finally found the courage to walk away from toxic dynamics and reclaim their dignity. Before we begin, I'd appreciate it if you liked this video. It helps the message reach more people who need it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, take a moment to click that subscribe button and tap the bell, so you don't miss any of these important life lessons. If you like what you hear, comment 1 below. If not, feel free to comment 0. Your feedback helps me grow and serve you better. Let's begin. Red flag number 1. I'm just looking out for you. The illusion of care, the reality of control. One of the most deceptive red flags comes disguised as concern. When a woman says, "I'm just trying to help," or "I only want what's best for you," she might genuinely mean it. But when that concern turns into control over who you see, how you spend your money, or how you live your life, it's no longer care. It's manipulation. Control can sneak in quietly. It often starts with seemingly harmless questions like, "Why are you going out again today?" Or, "Do you really need to spend money on that?" First, it may sound like love, but over time, it becomes a leash. Let's look at Harold, a 75-year-old retired engineer from Michigan. He found himself gradually surrendering small choices, what he wore, which friends he saw, even how often he called his adult children. It didn't happen all at once. It came wrapped in concern in phrases like, "I'm worried about you," and "You shouldn't be doing that at your age." What was once a loving partnership slowly turned into a cage. Psychologically, this kind of control activates the body's stress response. Your brain begins to interpret everyday life as a threat. You become anxious, foggy, unmotivated. Seniors, in particular, are at higher risk for these emotional effects, as they may already be coping with feelings of isolation or reduced autonomy. The key warning sign: you feel like you're always second-guessing yourself. You hesitate before making decisions. You feel smaller in your own life. A healthy relationship doesn't diminish your freedom. It enhances it. If you feel like you're being managed instead of loved, it's time to pause and reassess. Red flag number 2. It was just a joke. Disrespect disguised as humor. Another common phrase that should never be ignored is, "You're too sensitive. I was only joking." When a woman dismisses your feelings after making a hurtful comment, she's not just being playful. She's signaling that your emotions are invalid and that she doesn't take responsibility for how her words land. Disrespect often begins in subtle ways. Mocking your memory, belittling your hobbies, or making passive-aggressive remarks about your age, health, or income. These comments might be passed off as humor, but the sting they leave behind is very real. George, a 72-year-old retired teacher from New Jersey, used to laugh along when his partner made fun of him forgetting where he put his glasses or teased him about how slow he walked. But over time, those jokes became routine and more biting. They stopped being funny. They started to feel cruel. When George finally confronted her, she said, "Oh, lighten up. You're being dramatic." But George wasn't overreacting. He was recognizing something important. Disrespect, even masked as humor, is corrosive. It eats away at trust, intimacy, and self-esteem. If someone regularly invalidates your feelings, makes you the punchline, or blames you for taking things the wrong way, they're not joking, they're demeaning you. No one, especially in the later years of life, should have to tolerate repeated emotional bruising. True love lifts you up. It doesn't cut you down. Red flag number 3. You're lucky I'm still here. Emotional blackmail in disguise. This phrase might sound like a passing remark. But when a woman says, "You're lucky I put up with you," or "anyone else would have left you by now," she's not just expressing frustration. She's applying emotional pressure in a way that can be deeply damaging. This is a classic form of emotional blackmail. It's designed to create fear, guilt, and dependency. The message beneath the words is clear. You should be grateful I tolerate you, and if you step out of line, I might leave. For seniors, especially those who are divorced, widowed, or re-entering relationships after years of being alone, this tactic can be devastating. It plays on insecurities like, "I'm too old to start over," or "Who else would want me now?" Let's talk about Robert, a 68-year-old retired postmaster from Ohio. He met a woman online 2 years after his wife passed. At first, she seemed affectionate and supportive. But as time went on, she began using guilt as a weapon. Whenever Robert disagreed with her or tried to set healthy boundaries, she'd say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." Or "Most women wouldn't waste their time with someone your age." Robert didn't even realize how much these comments had worn him down, until his daughter pointed out that he was starting to avoid phone calls, neglect his hobbies, and seemed constantly nervous around his partner. Psychologically, phrases like these create a toxic dynamic. They manipulate your fear of abandonment and exploit your desire for companionship. Instead of building mutual respect, the relationship begins to operate on imbalance and coercion, where love is something you must earn or beg for instead of something freely given. Worse, emotional blackmail often escalates. First, it's subtle guilt. Then, it becomes emotional withdrawal, silent treatments, or threats of walking away to maintain power. But here's the truth. No one, regardless of age, deserves to feel they must tolerate mistreatment just to avoid being alone. You are not too old to be respected. You are not a burden. And companionship should never come at the cost of your dignity. If someone constantly reminds you that you're lucky they tolerate you, it's time to ask, why would someone who truly cares about me need to make me feel so replaceable? Healthy love doesn't make you feel like a burden. It reminds you that you're valued.